Today we're going to be working on a summery beach necklace with sand-colored cord and blue beads. We'll need cord, beads that are large enough to go over the cord, jump rings, jewelry clasp, jewelry pliers, measuring tape, glue, and scissors. We'll start by adding the jewelry clasp to a jump ring. You'll open up a jump ring with 2 jewelry pliers. You grab one on each end, twist it open, put the clasp in, and then tighten it back up. I'm measuring at least 60 inches of cord. I like to add a little bit extra, that way I can trim the ends as I need to. And then my neck is about 14.5 inches around, so that kind of gives you an idea on the proportions. Using clear nail polish on the ends of the cord will help it stop from fraying, and then you can do that every so often as you need to. For this necklace, we're going to find the middle or near middle of the necklace. We're going to tie a small knot at that point. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then what we'll do is take a sequence of beads. So in my case, I'm going to use light, medium, and dark blue beads. Put the sequence of beads on, and then tie a knot at the other end, and that'll kind of hold the beads in place. And I'll show that as we go along in the video. And then we'll keep doing sequences of the knots with beads, and that'll help kind of give a pattern to the necklace. So at this point we have a knot at one end, 3 beads, and then we're tying a knot at the other end to secure the beads. I'm going to use my thumb to kind of hold the beads in place. I don't want it to be really tight, but not really loose either. Just secure enough that they're held in place. The middle bead is now the middle of the necklace, and that'll help us keep track as we bead both sides. Now that we have the middle sequence of beads, we're going to go and pick a direction and keep beading in that direction. So we're going to tie knots about 1/2 inch plus or minus from that first knot. Well, in my necklace it wasn't perfect, so it was kind of plus or minus 1/2 inch, but if you want yours to be exact, that's up to you. And I'm following that same pattern of light, medium, dark, light, medium, dark. Whatever pattern you have, or you can use multicolors, whatever you prefer. And we're going to go for about 8 inches from that middle bead, so that would leave about 16 inches altogether of beads, and then we'll add the clasp at the ends. And so here you can see that I've already got another sequence there almost finished, tying the knot on that, and I'm going to kind of show where it is on the ruler after that 8 inches has been completed. So here's about 8 inches from that middle bead to the end, and that's one side. Next, we'll tie a jump ring onto the cord. We'll have it be at least 1/2 inch, if not a little bit longer. That way you can easily grab the clasp in the jump ring when you're putting the necklace on. So I actually double knotted the jump ring, and I'm making sure it's really secure so it doesn't slide. We'll add glue to that area later. And then don't trim the excess string because that'll be the outer strand of the necklace. It's helpful to add a bread tie or some sort of marker that lets you know where that middle strand is, and then you can add the other 8 inches on the other side. I've now added 8 inches to the other side, so there's 16 inches of bead. And then I'm adding the clasp that has the jump ring attached to it. That's going to be about 9 inches. I'm holding that spot really tight because I know where I want the knot to be, and that's just kind of personal preference. Then I'm just pulling it so it's tug, but not pulling it where it'll break the cord. At this point, from clasp to jump ring, it's about 18.5 inches, which works for me. It doesn't have to be perfect, it's kind of a natural necklace, so I'm okay with that. So we've just created what I'm calling the inner strand. That's the first strand, that's the shortest. Next, we'll take the strings that are left over and we'll create the outer strand. We're going to bead those 2 leftover strands, and then we'll tie them together here. For the next segment, which is the outer strands, I'm going to go down a little bit further and start a little bit below the first sequence of beads that are on the inner strand. And then I'm going to try to stagger the sets of beads, that way they don't line up perfectly and it gives it a more natural look. I'm going to try to follow the same direction of the sequence of beads that's on the inner strand, so light, medium, dark. So this first set I'm going to do light, medium, and dark, and then when I get to the other strand on the other side, it'll be dark, medium, light. So here you can see how the sequence of light, medium, and dark match from the outer strand to the inner strand, and then they're slightly staggered. And then basically at this point you just want to add several inches of sequence of beads, and then once you kind of get towards the point where you think you could tie them, then that's about where you'd want to stop. So I've added several inches of beads, and you can see this is about where I want to stop and then start working on the other side. Now we're working on the second side, and you can see the beads are going dark, medium, and light. So if you had a pattern that you're working with, kind of keep that in mind if you want it to match on both sides. So just like the first strand on the outer shell, the second strand you'll want to go down a little bit further so you can stagger the beads and then bead for several inches. If the ends of the cord start to get a little frayed, just add some nail polish and then let that dry. So I've added several inches of beads on that second strand, and this is about where I would want to tie them together and create that knot. To tie the two strands together, I highly recommend that you put the necklace on and stand in front of a mirror, and then tie a loose knot and kind of move a little bit. See if it's in the spot that you want it to be in, and then tighten it. It took me a few tries before I finally got it. And the way I'm tying the knot, I'm taking both strands together, making a loop, and pulling them both through the loop at the same time. This is how it looks with the knot tied. At the end of each strand, I'm going to put a sequence of beads that's going to be like the light, medium, and dark to match the rest of the necklace. One set of beads will be a little bit higher and the other set will be a little bit lower, and I'm just doing that for added interest. Because these last sets of beads are going to be on the dangling ends, I'll only tie the bottom knot. So here I've added the beads, and then I'm tying the knot, and then you just do the same thing on the other side. Next, we're going to use a multi-purpose glue for the cord. I would recommend opening a window or adding ventilation. Before using the glue on the finished necklace, you might want to try a few test areas on the same type of cord and let that dry. I've done that ahead of time. And then what I'm doing is taking some dabs of glue and I'm going over each of the knots throughout the necklace. And then I'll do this on the ends where we had cut the little dangles, and that'll help it prevent from fraying. And this is what the finished beach-inspired summery necklace looks like. And as always, thank you for watching.